Imagine a time before the stars, before the sun, before even the concept of time itself. Imagine a universe so young it had not yet decided what it wanted to be, a universe caught between fire and frost, between possibility and nothingness. This was not a peaceful emptiness. It was a vast, waiting silence, humming with tension, as though the fabric of reality was holding its breath. And in that silence, something stirred. The Norse called it Ginnungagap, the yawning void. It was not just emptiness, but a place where opposites met, where the sparks of fire from Muspelheim danced with the icy rivers of Niflheim. Each collision was like a heartbeat, each drop of melting ice a whisper of life. And from this strange cosmic dance came the first being, Ymir, the ancestor of all giants, vast and terrible. But our story tonight does not follow Ymir. Instead, it turns to something far more mysterious, to a figure born not of chaos, but of patience, persistence, and destiny. In this empty expanse there wandered another creature, a gentle one, Audhumla, the great cosmic cow. Her name meant hornless one, and she was as strange and primal as the void itself, a creature of sustenance, a bringer of life. From her teats flowed 4 rivers of milk, white as starlight, enough to nourish Ymir and keep him strong. Yet Audhumla was not only a mother to Ymir. She had her own quiet task, one that would shape the fate of the gods. Each day, Audhumla would lick the salty rime-covered stones that lined Ginnungagap. This was no idle habit, it was an act of creation. On the first day, as her great tongue smoothed the ice, something strange appeared beneath the frost, a single golden strand of hair. It shone in the pale half-light, glinting with a power unlike Ymir's crude strength. On the second day, a whole head emerged, not monstrous like the giants but fair, noble, almost divine. And on the third day the ice gave way entirely, and from its prison stepped a man, tall, radiant, and filled with the raw power of existence itself. This was Buri. No mother had carried him. No father had sired him. He was shaped by the meeting of fire and ice, nourished by the salt of the earth, freed by the patient work of Audhumla. He stood alone in Ginnungagap, a figure of pure potential, as though the universe itself had decided that the coming age would need someone like him. And for a moment there was balance. Ymir, the first giant, child of chaos, and Buri, the first god, child of order. 2 ancestors, 2 destinies, staring across the void at one another. The myths are silent about Buri's thoughts in that first moment, and so we are left to wonder. Did he fear Ymir? Did he marvel at Audhumla, who had freed him from the ice? Did he know that he was the first of something entirely new, the beginning of the Aesir, the line of gods who would one day rule the heavens? Perhaps he felt none of these things. Perhaps he simply existed, a living pillar in the empty void, waiting for the next step in creation. What is certain is that Buri did not remain alone forever. Somehow, perhaps by a companion whose name is lost to us, or perhaps by some other mysterious act of creation, Buri became a father. And from him was born Borr. With Borr the story takes on a new shape. Where Buri was a solitary being, Borr represents connection, choice, and legacy. Borr grew to manhood in a world still wild and dangerous. Imagine what it must have been like, the great void stretching in every direction, the frozen mist curling around him like ghosts, the sound of distant rivers formed from Ymir's sweat and blood. He must have known the giants, Ymir's brood, for they were everywhere, filling the void with their massive forms. But Borr was not afraid. He was the son of Buri, inheritor of that first divine spark, and he carried himself with strength and purpose. And then at some point Borr did something remarkable. He chose a mate. Her name was Bestla, daughter of the giant Blorn. This was no small decision. The union of god and giantess was the first great blending of these 2 primal forces, a foreshadowing of what was to come. Through Bestla's blood, the line of the Aesir was tied forever to the race of Jotnar. The gods and giants would be enemies for eternity, yes, but also kin. Borr and Bestla had 3 sons, and with their birth, destiny quickened. Their names were Odin, Vili, and Vili, 3 brothers who would one day shake the foundations of the cosmos. But they were not yet warriors or kings. At first, they were simply sons, learning to survive in a world that was still raw and untamed. They grew up beneath the shadow of Ymir and his kin, learning the nature of their enemies, feeling the tension that crackled through the void like a coming storm. The giants were many and the young gods were few. Everywhere the brothers looked, they saw the children of Ymir, vast, powerful, and dangerous. The balance of the world tilted heavily toward chaos. And though the myths do not tell us in detail, we can imagine Bor's role in those days. A father guiding his sons, teaching them the ways of strength and cunning, preparing them for a confrontation that seemed inevitable. Perhaps he told them about Buri, their grandfather, and the strange destiny that had brought them into existence. Perhaps he reminded them that they were not merely wanderers in a meaningless void, they were heirs to something greater, something still waiting to be built. That must have burned like fire in Odin's heart, giving him the resolve he would need to do what no one had dared before. For the world was not yet a world. It was a wilderness, a battleground between fire and frost, where giants roamed freely and nothing was fixed or permanent. It was a place where creation itself trembled, unsure of its future. And so the three sons of Borr made their choice. But that, my friends, is where the next chapter begins, with a decision that would end the reign of the giants and shape the cosmos as we know it. The three sons of Borr, Odin, Vili, and Vili, stood together in the great void, surrounded by the countless children of Ymir. This was the moment everything had been leading to, the inevitable clash between what had always been and what was yet to come. Ymir, the ancestor of the frost giants, was not just another creature. He was the embodiment of the old world, of chaos, of the primal forces that had filled Ginnungagap before the gods were born. To challenge him was to challenge the very order of existence. But the brothers were not afraid. Somewhere deep inside they carried the certainty of their destiny, a certainty that came from Borr and from Buri before him. Perhaps they knew that the void could not stay as it was forever. Perhaps they felt the pull of fate, whispering that it was time to bring shape to the shapeless, to build something new from the body of the old. And so they confronted Ymir. We are not told exactly how this battle unfolded. The old poets did not leave us a detailed saga of the fight, no blow-by-blow account of how three young gods took down the first and greatest of all giants. But we can imagine it, the echo of their voices shaking the void, the clash of power that made the rivers boil and the stars to beat tremble. It must have been a battle worthy of the gods, a struggle that raged across the emptiness like a storm. In the end Ymir fell. The three brothers struck him down and watched as the great giant collapsed, his lifeblood pouring out like an endless flood. From his wounds came a tide so vast it drowned nearly every giant in existence. Only a few survived, scrambling to safety at the far edges of creation. Among them was Bergelmir, grandson of Ymir, who escaped with his wife in a wooden box, some say a kind of cosmic ark, to ensure the survival of the Jotnar. It was a narrow salvation, a hint that the giants would return one day, carrying with them a hatred as old as time. But the brothers did not weep for Ymir. Instead they looked upon his massive corpse and saw possibility. They did not leave him to rot. They did something bold, something no one had done before. They turned death into creation. Piece by piece they carved up the giant's body, transforming him into the world we know. His flesh became the earth, the solid ground beneath our feet. His blood became the vast oceans, filling the hollows and valleys with deep, rolling waters. His great bones became the mountains, sharp and eternal against the sky. His teeth and jawbones, broken and scattered, became the stones and cliffs that dot the land. And his skull, hollowed and raised high, became the sky itself, a great dome set above the newborn world. To hold the sky in place, they placed 4 dwarves at its corners, naming them Nori, Suri, Austri and Vestri, north, south, east and west, guardians who would hold it steady for all time. From Ymir's hair, they made the trees and forests that would one day cover Midgard. From his brain they made the clouds, ever shifting and wandering the heavens. And from the sparks that flew from Muspelheim, they made the stars, scattering them across the dark roof of the sky like glittering jewels. In this way the world was not merely born, it was forged, crafted from sacrifice, from death, from the transformation of something ancient into something new. It was a world that carried within it the memory of Ymir, the echo of the first being, forever reminding gods and mortals alike that creation and destruction are 2 sides of the same coin. When the work was done, the 3 brothers stood in the middle of their creation and saw that it was good, but empty. The land was formed, the seas filled, the sky stretched above them, but there was no one to live in it, no one to give it meaning. And so they walked along the shores, searching for the first sparks of life. There, on the edge of the sea, they found 2 pieces of driftwood, 1 ash, 1 elm. And the brothers did something wondrous. They breathed into the wood the gifts that would make them human. Odin gave them breath, the very spark of life. Vili gave them mind and movement, the ability to think and act. Ve gave them form and senses, the ability to see, to hear, to feel. And thus were born Ask and Embla, the first man and woman. The gods placed them in the very center of the world they had made and called it Midgard, the middle enclosure, a place of safety, a place meant to be a home. And in that moment, the story of humanity began, running parallel to the story of the gods themselves. But even here in this moment of triumph there was a shadow. For the giants had not been completely destroyed. Those who survived fled to the far reaches of Jotunheim, nursing their hatred, swearing vengeance. The brothers knew that the blood they had spilled would not be forgotten. They had remade the world, yes, but they had also made enemies who would one day come back to challenge them. This too was part of the design. The Norse did not imagine a world of perfect peace, frozen in eternal harmony. They imagined a world of tension, of conflict, of balance between order and chaos. And Borr's sons had set that balance into motion. They had built a cosmos that was not static, but alive. A cosmos where stories could unfold, where choices could be made, where destiny could be met head-on. And though we speak often of Odin, of Thor, of Loki, of all the great dramas that followed, it is important to remember who made that world possible. It was Buri, the man of ice, who first stood in Ginnungagap and proved that something new could be born from nothing. It was Borr who chose Bestla and fathered the three brothers who would change everything. Without them, there would have been no slaying of Ymir, no world made from his body, no humans to inherit it. Without them there would be no story at all. Buri and Borr are like the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, hidden, unseen but essential. They hold up everything that came after, and though the myths give them only a few lines, their importance cannot be overstated. They are the silent beginning, the deep note that resonates through every tale of the gods, right up to the doom of Ragnarok. And perhaps that is why their story still matters today. Because it reminds us that every world, every family, every legend starts with someone who takes the first step, who dares to exist, who dares to choose. Buri dared to stand. Borr dared to love. And from them came everything else. So the next time you hear of Odin's wisdom, of Thor's hammer striking down a giant, of Loki's tricks leading the gods into chaos, remember that it all began here with a man freed from ice and a father who chose to shape destiny rather than let it pass him by. Remember Buri. Remember Borr. They are not just names in an old poem, they are the spark that lit the fire of the Norse cosmos. And if this story has lit something in you, if you felt yourself standing on the edge of Ginnungagap with Buri, watching the first world take shape, then give this video a like, share it with fellow mythology lovers, and tell me in the comments what other hidden tales of Norse myth you want to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe to Mythic Odyssey, because this is just the beginning, and many more stories await us under the branches of Yggdrasil.